Whoa! Welcome to the NFL show. Ooh, almost at NHL. Soon, not quite. The NHL show. Live on the Slaughterhouse Sports Podcast Network. I am Mark Sauter. He is Java Joe. A week off. We are back today talking NFC, AFC East as we roll along in our divisional previews. Next week, we will wrap it up with the West, move on to props and predictions and all that kind of stuff. And then, dude, we're what? 2 more footballless Sundays, and then we're back in action, brother. Good to see you. How you doing?
Pretty good. In the NFL's infinite wisdom to take over every single day of the week, the first game's on a Wednesday.
That's
so
right.
We're literally 2 Wednesdays away from regular season NFL football, and I am ecstatic, to be honest with you. The time in between the end of basketball season and the beginning of football season is like, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had the benefit of basking in my New York Knicks winning the championship, so there's a little extra glow to this dead period of time. But I'm like Jalen Brunson, like a couple of weeks of celebrating. I was ready for the next thing. So we're close, and I'm ready to lock in. I'm ready to make as much as I can for our lovely, adoring public this year.
Well, it's funny because this is gonna sound super married guy parent condescending, and I do not mean to at all. I think it just happens naturally by accident. Married, 2 kids. This has been great. Like, not hearing from my wife, like, oh, there's a game on. Of course, there's a game on. Like, it's been nice to like just know, okay, I have to write, gotta do podcasts, but like, there's nothing. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get yelled at.
I get you.
Not yelled at, but you know what I mean. It's been a nice little break. But you know what's funny, man, is like life's just busy. I know you're busy with different things. I'm busy with different things. And you're preparing for the NFL season and you're excited, but it's like I still got a lot to do. I got a lot going on. And then we start studying for the East, you know? And it's like you're reading up on the Cowboys, reading up on the Giants, reading up on the Eagles, and you're like, as an Eagles fan, Giants fan, then it's like, okay, I'm getting ready. So before we move on, and I want to next 2 thoughts short because we got a lot of football to cover over the next couple hours here. Beginning of my vacation, beginning was my birthday, and my son and or my mom and my wife have started this thing with my son where they take him to a store, dollar store, or like Winners. Do you guys have that down there? Winners? Is that a thing?
No, but I know of it from my Canadian friends.
Yeah, so just whatever. I don't know what to compare it to down there in the States, but and my son picks out gifts for people
nice.
for their birthdays. But it's all stuff that he likes, right? Like a toy dinosaur and like a water gun and like, you know what I mean? So as a parent, or if you're, aunt or an uncle, you're around kids shows are on so much that you just have to learn to like some of them. Like some of them you can't, like you don't like, but other, like you just learn to appreciate certain kid shows. And for me, in my 4 years of being a parent, I've come to the conclusion that Sesame Street is by far the superior show. Like, if I have the remote and I can put something on for my kids, it's Sesame Street. It's just the music's better, the whatever, it's just better. I don't know why, it just is. So my son is at Winners with my wife and picks out my birthday gift. Just the
Yes.
biggest
Elmo, let's
Elmo mug.
let's
If you're listening on
go.
Spotify, this is the biggest coffee mug that I have ever drank from. Um, and not only that, Joe, it comes with like a Sesame Street like dish, it's like a tea plate, but it's massive. It's just
Hmm. Was it
massive.
like a
So
like a little coaster underneath?
kind of,
Okay.
yeah, but it has like side. I don't even know how to explain it, but I just felt like I needed to explain it before I just bust out
Started
this massive
drinking out of it.
Elmo.
Yeah, no, it's valid. That's valid.
But it was
That was my
wonderful.
favorite character, to be honest. So
Oh, dude, Elmo's
I
a
got super
legend.
stoked. I was like, oh, Elmo? Okay.
Oh yeah, no,
Winning.
dude, Elmo's a legend. Um, Second thing, we got to talk about this really quickly, but we got to talk about this. This is the AFC NFC East preview, but we got to talk about this. What the heck is going on in Cleveland? Can we just quickly touch on this? I don't
Yeah.
think like I understand, like, remove the name Deshaun Watson for 2 seconds. Remove the shenanigans that this guy gets up to in his free time. Just, and I know that you can't, but just for the sake of this exercise, I don't think that their play was like necessarily one's better. Like, they both didn't look like very nice
Mm.
options. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, both of them was like, this is our guy. And you're naturally going to lean with the veteran, right? If you remove the name, remove the context, you're going to lean with the veteran. Even if they both suck, you're going to go with the veteran. I understand. Um, his preseason's been so bad, and the things that he had to say to the media after the last game, I just can't comprehend what we're doing here. Like, I understand that it's a lot of money that you're paying him. I get it. But you lost that money before the contract even started. Like, let's just swallow our pride and just smarten up. Like, what are we doing, Joe?
Yeah, I'm not really sure why this decision was made. To be honest with you, because even if you're trying to save face, the ownership already took the silos for this. Like, they already took the hits for this. They admitted that this was spearheaded by ownership and then trickles the way down. They've already owned this contract. So they've already admitted a culpability, taking the blame on this contract. So why not just rip the band-aid off and call it a complete failure by just going with the kid, right? But then on the other side of it is, maybe there's a part of them that says, okay, we got to get something out of this, right? Like, we got to get the number of games played up on this contract to at least say, hey, we got 20 something games out of this contract, as opposed to getting like however many he's played. What, 6? I don't even know. But maybe at some point there, the collective here is just like, we got to get something. We got to at least get double digits worth of starts to say it wasn't a complete disaster. I'm like, listen, it was a complete disaster when you signed it. It was a complete disaster in execution. It shouldn't matter at this point, the guarantee or how much you're paying them at this point, beginning with the who's starting this season, because it's the contract is already lost. Short of them making an AFC championship, this
Oh my
contract
god.
is the singular worst contract of all time.
Of course. Of course. And like, the thing is though, man, is like, to me, in my mind, okay, for whatever that's worth, probably nothing. But it's like, it everything that you have to say, that you just said, okay, you, Joe, I understand what you're saying. If you're speaking on behalf of them, like we got to get the numbers up, we got to get the number of games played, we got to get something else. For what? For what? For what?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, more realistic than not, you are playing to draft a quarterback next season. Okay? Fine. But Shador, whether you believe in him, you don't believe in him, there's something there. Like, I don't even know if that's what I mean, but like there could be something there. Like you don't fully know. You got a couple of good pieces. We talked about them a few weeks ago. Like there could be something with Shador. He's basically a rookie still. Like it's his second year. Didn't whatever. Like you, just give him a shot. Give him another shot. If this was the classic scenario of we're going to start the veteran because it's easier to pull the veteran to start the rookie than it is, or not the rookie, but to start the young guy than it is to start the young guy. I understand, right? We talked about that with Kirk Cousins and with Mendoza, right? Like, I get it. But in this scenario, for what? Easier? None of this is easier. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, anything to do, I just think it's ridiculous. And I think, forget about like on the field, I just think the optics are awful. Like everything that he had to say during the press conference, and then less than 24 hours later, you're telling us that he's the guy. If I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, I don't even know. Like, and I know that there are fan bases like the Browns, like the Jets, that are just used to this level of ineptitude. But this is like a whole nother animal, man. Like, I don't know. Like, this feels like, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't just like, oh, my team's bad again. Like, this is like they're throwing it in my face. Like, I am paying them money to throw it in my face. That's what this feels like to me.
Well, at the end of the day, even if he's not the best option, you know, when you think about it that way, if he really isn't the best option, then he really does spearhead their quarterback for 2027
Yeah,
plan.
so
You know,
I
that
guess.
honestly, it doesn't change my projection any. I think they go 4-13 or lower, no matter who the quarterback is, to be honest with you. And it probably behooves them to do that because you got bangers like Carr from Notre Dame coming out. You got Arch from Texas. It's supposed to be a kind of solid draft, quarterback wise, after the duds that we had last year. So could be a situation. You know, it was very top heavy last year. Let's be honest. It was like Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza, and then there was everyone else. That was the thought process behind last year's class. Next year's class, Carr from Notre Dame, Arch from Texas. It's supposed to be a little bit more, little deeper. So maybe you just sell the farm and just be like, you know what? 4-13 sounds a really good shot to get one of those guys.
I have been at a bar in Cleveland, surrounding the bar, having drinks, talking football. I've done that in my lifetime, and you sound like a local. Just taking shots back, being like, you know what, boys, next year the draft is gonna be woo.
Listen,
last year
I'm not one of those false hope guys. I'm not one of those false hope guys. I'm how can we turn this into a positive scenario? I was like, well, if we suck bad enough, we can get another guy.
Oh man, I love it. All right, enough of that. Let's move on to some NFC or AFC. Let's start in the AFC. AFC East, starting with the Buffalo Bills. For a team that has one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the league, always wins a bunch of games. I am always confused by this team. They 12-5 last season. Over under is 10.5 this year. Now I must admit some of these totals that I have might be a bit wonky. The reason for that doesn't matter, but it's close enough. But I do believe this is the total for the Bills: 10.5, -130 for the over, +110 for the under. Like I said, 12-5 last season. McDermott out, Brady in, DJ Moore in, Chubb in on the defensive side. Um, Super Bowl +1,000. They're the second shortest odds to win the Super Bowl. AFC +500. Number one seed +450. Division -150, which I found interesting. And I'm really excited to talk about the Bills. And then when we're done with talking about the Patriots, um, this is a very interesting thing to me because the Patriots total is less than the Bills is. The odds for the Bills are shorter than the Patriots are. And I'm very interested to see what you have to say about that. All right, before I say any more, give me an overall. What are you feeling? DJ Moore in. I think that if just where he's at in his career, we'll see. But they needed help. They needed receiver help desperately. That seems to be the adage every year. The defense needs to stay healthy and play better and give Allen some help on the outside for the love of God. How are we feeling about the Buffalo Bills heading into September?
Listen, I think this is going to be a steady team. I think a lot of the elements that we, love about this team, are still there, right? Greg Rousseau is a pass rusher. We love that. Ed Oliver in the middle on the defense. I will say that the work that they've done on the secondary, with Hairston, Benford, you got Geno Stone, steady vet. Um, I worry about his coverage skills, but I think he's going to be a solid tackler. I think that's like his one of his best assets. You got GJ at the nickel. I think what worries me about this team is with Jim Leonard taking over, they're going to be running a different scheme as far as their defense, and I'm not sure if the elements that they've brought in necessarily fit the scheme that they're about to run. So I worry about their defense in that aspect of it. A lot is going to be asked from Bradley Chubb, as far as providing that pass rush opposite Greg Rousseau. I worry about his health because he has been very injury prone, even back to kind of like when he was with the Broncos. So I worry about his injury prone, which this defense has tended to be a little bit injury prone. So they bringing in someone with that kind of caliber, I think would, it's going to depend on his health and how this unit works in the scheme. I think the offense is going to be fine. As a matter of fact, I think the
Yeah.
offense is going to be better than fine because I think with Brady now at the controls of the whole team, he may want to open it up a little bit. And now that they have an actual true number one in DJ Moore, I think that we're going to see a little bit more passing. Maybe they move to more of a 60-40 situation as opposed to maybe below that, as far as their balance is concerned. Because I think Sean McDermott was a little bit of um, I think he was a little bit more conservative. Now, granted, you could say, hey, we didn't really have the weaponry to stretch the field like that. And I won't argue with you because since, they didn't have Diggs, they've kind of been searching for that number one guy again. But now that they have DJ Moore, I think you have the capability of being able to stretch the floor. They also picked up Joshua Palmer, formerly of the Chargers, who I think, if he can be healthy, could be a nice depth option behind Shakir, behind Coleman. Coleman, up and down, right? We worry about where he's at as far as not just the upstairs, but also the ability. You can get away with knucklehead stuff when you're producing, but he's been a knucklehead and also not produced.
Yeah.
So when you got veterans behind you like a Joshua Palmer, a McCole Hardman who still has wheels even if he doesn't have hands, um, you're gonna be looking behind you. So it's gonna be interesting. I think offense should should open up. I like them there. I worry about their defense.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This is probably the best that I felt about their offense. Not a ton has changed other than DJ Moore, if he can provide value, is huge. Um, their O line, the continuity of their O line, you like it when an O line kind of stays the same. They know how to play together. That is something that you want and that you like. And for the most part, they have been pretty good. They have to continue to be good, obviously. With Knox, I think Kincaid, if he can stay healthy, he can stay right. He's a very underrated tight end, in my opinion. I think he's very, very good. And having him and Knox, you have Shakir. I think the middle of the field can be utilized a lot more. And so, you know, for Josh Allen, what's funny is that game against the Broncos last year, we see this stuff with Josh Allen, and it comes out a lot. The hero ball, because he has to, right? The turnovers. He didn't play well in that game, but before that, in his previous, I can't remember the number, how many playoff games, he wasn't turning the ball over that much. And he has, I don't know if he's become more conservative, but he's become more efficient at not turning the ball over. You're still going to get those crazy turnovers. I don't second guess Josh as much as I used to. But DJ Moore kind of, that's their one kind of all in move, and he has to work, or else we're kind of back to where we started. James Cook, another underrated player on that group. So for me, I'm right there with you. It's just the defense. Like that defense last year, you can't, if you want to be a team that's taken seriously as a Super Bowl winning team, you can't score 30 points and lose a game on what feels like a regular basis. You just can't, right? And so I know that they were banged up. They were really banged up come playoff time. I get it. Chubb is a great addition, great name on paper, but it's been what, 2-3 years since we saw his best, like the best of Chubb. We're a few years removed from that. So what can he bring? I love CJGJ. I love that move as an Eagles fan. I have all the time in the world for that guy. This might sound bizarre. This, I don't know if this makes sense. To me, it does. I just, I don't think Buffalo has had enough crazy personalities on the defense. Like a guy where you look at him wrong and he throws his helmet across the stands. Like, you know what I mean? Like just someone that you just don't know what this guy's gonna do. I don't know. Yeah. I like that about
I can agree with that.
CJGJ. So anyway. What else did I have here? I think linebacker, I think, is a big question mark. It's just kind of the same old thing for me with the defense for the Bills. Is I don't really know what to expect. I don't really know what I'm going to get. So we'll see what happens. Anything to add before we move on to the schedule?
That kicker, Tyler's missed some bunnies. He's missed. He's gotten a case of the Gips. So, can we win close games this year? Can we win close games this year? With that kicker, that's something also to keep in mind.
All right, 2026 schedule. Over under once again 10.5, -130 for the over, +110 for the under. Bye is in week 7. We will go there up until then. Week 1 at Texans. Home for 3 straight after that to the Lions, the Chargers, and the Pats. in LA to take on the Rams, and in Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. What do you have in Houston? Lions, Chargers, Pats, in Rams, in Raiders. First 6 week of the season, week 7 bye.
I actually have them 5-1.
Oh,
I think they lose the game to the Rams. But I have them winning the game against the Patriots. But I do have them split. So I have them
yeah.
winning their home game, losing the road game. But I think it's very important for them to get off to a good start. Chargers just lost their center for the season, Tyler, that they picked up from the
Yeah.
Cowboys. And listen, who knows what the state of those tackles are going to be by then. Um, and I just think they need to get off to a fast start, and I think Joe Brady and this offense are gonna cook here early.
Yeah, I have them split 3-3. I'm trying to stay true to the past schedules that we've already done. I'm trying. I don't know if it's going to be perfect, but I'm trying. I have them losing to the Texans, losing to the Lions to start the season, beating the Chargers and the Pats. Like you, I have the Pats split. Beating the Chargers, beating the Pats, losing to the Rams, beating the Raiders. But I do think they kind of stumble out of the gate. I think that um, something that's going to be interesting to watch now with the Texans, we know the microscope that is on their offense, right? What's that offense going to be? That's a big question mark. That defense, we know what it's going to be. And so that's an interesting matchup for me. I think the Lions are just going to start hot this year. I think they're going to have a big season, and it might take a little bit for the Bills, but I do have them beating the Chargers, Pats, and the Raiders. Um, so I have them 3-3. You have them 5-1. All right, we'll do next 4. Week 7's bye. Week 8, home to Baltimore, in Minnesota, in New York to take on the Jets, home to the Dolphins, and home to the Chiefs. Where do you have them coming out of that stretch?
All right. Well, I have them 4-1 in that stretch, with their only loss to the Ravens. So I have them at this point in the season 9-2. I just think the Vikings quarterback situation is one that leaves to be desired. So I don't think they lose that game. I have we the Jets are going to jet, and unfortunately, it's
Yeah.
going to be tough sledding for that team this season. The Dolphins, while I think that they are going to, I think they're going to be a fighting team. I just don't know about, and we'll get into it more. Malik Willis is going to be a huge question mark, and this new regime with their wide receivers. So I just don't think they'll be able to compete this year with the
Mm-hmm.
AFC East, with the rest of their AFC East people. And listen, they are good against the Chiefs during the regular season. So I have them
Yeah.
winning the game in the regular season, but if they're both in the postseason, which we'll get into the West next week, that's a different story, right?
Yeah. The Chiefs in the regular season is never the issue for the Bills. That is yeah, been well advertised. Um I have them 5-0 here.
Okay.
I think that you're right. I think if there's one obvious kind of loss there, it would be against the Ravens. Um I have them winning that game, beating the Jets, Vikings, Dolphins, and beating the Chiefs like you. So I have them 8-3. You have them 9-2.
Okay.
To
Not
round
far.
off the season, in New England, in Green Bay, home to the Bears. I cannot read my writing. Oh, in Denver, in Miami, home to the Jets. So on the road against the Pats and the Packers, home to the Bears, in Denver, in Miami, home to the Jets to round off the season.
Okay. So I have them 2-4 in the stretch. I have them 2-4
Interesting.
straight in the stretch. There are some really, really tough games here. At the Patriots, really tough versus the Bears, who I think is I love what they're doing over there in Chicago. I think Ben's gonna have this team cooking at this stage of the season. I think Caleb's going to be really, really good this year. Could be putting up some pretty major numbers. I just think it's that time of year where it's just kind of like, okay, they're going to give up a couple that they probably shouldn't, which is why I have them losing against the Dolphins. On
Oh, okay.
At the Dolphins, I think that's one of those games where it's just like, whoa, what's happening? What's going on? What are we doing? Um, so I have them beating the Packers. I have them winning on the road against the Packers, and then I have them beating the Jets at the end of the season. But some of these other games I think are going to be close. But for one reason or another, whether it's the special teams, Tyler Bass, like I talked about, or it's their defense getting a little leaky, um, for one reason or another, I think they're going to lose close games to those, upper echelon teams like the Patriots, the Bears, and the Broncos.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're going to talk about the Dolphins in a couple minutes here. I just don't. I think they've done Malik Willis dirty here. I think that he has done. He hasn't started a ton of games. Like his name is pretty well known, but he hasn't started a ton of football games. But what he did last year, I think he well deserved to get a chance to start on a team like Miami that's
Yeah,
kind of rebuilding, trying to figure out what's next. I think by
exactly.
and large, Miami's doing a really good job of planning for the future. That being said, if their whole game plan here is to see what they have in Malik and then surround him with what they have surrounded him with, I don't really
So
think
valid.
that I don't
You're
really
so
think that
valid for that.
that pans out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's my opinion. But we're gonna talk about them in a minute. I have them going 3-3 here. I am losing to the Pats because of the split, losing to the Packers. I think they beat the Bears. To me, at that point in the season, it's going to be battle of the questionable defenses, and I like the offense of Buffalo better. Denver, we're going to talk about them next year or next week. I think they're going to be very, very good. They're not flawless, but they're a really strong roster. I think they beat the Dolphins, beat the Jets. Um, Depending how it all goes, these last games, you never know if that game against the Jets will matter or not. Whatever. I have
Valid.
them 11-6, going over the 10.5 for -130.
Look at us. Look at our synergy. 2-11 and
Beautiful.
sixes.
Beautiful. All right, let's move on. The Miami Dolphins. You, for all of the lamenting about this team and where they're at, we forget that they were 7-10 last year and like kind of sneaky good games kind of throughout the last half of that
Yeah.
season. Um, the over under. So this is where I might be wrong on this. The total that I have is 3.5. Is it 4.5 or 3.5? I have 3.5. Might be 4.5. The odds are correct. I just don't know which one is the official
The number sounds
number.
right. The number sounds right.
So 3.5 is -140 for the over, plus 115 for the under. 4.5, which some books have it, is plus 145 for the over, -125 for the under. That's super fascinating to me. That the over 3.5 is -140, but the over 4.5 is plus 145. Like
Mm.
that's a massive disparity, and I find that very interesting. Um, yeah, 7-10 last year, 3.5 the total, or 4.5, depending what you're looking. No McDaniel, no Tua, no Waddle. Pretty good draft, all in all. I mean, I'm very upfront about this when it comes to the draft. I rely on you and other resources. By all accounts, a very good
Yeah.
draft. Talked about Malik Willis. I really like giving him a chance. I think what he did, that was an important stretch that he had to play last year. Like they needed to win football games, and he
Yeah,
came in and he won football games, and he looked pretty good doing it, and I'm happy for him. That not only he got a job, but he got 22 and a half sheets to go with it. That's
exactly.
not too bad for a guy who started what, like 6 games or something like that.
Yeah,
Uh, Not bad at all. He has no one to throw to. Um, Still has, decent running back, whatever. I don't know how he's going to play well. Like, who is he throwing the ball to? Like, you might have a better inkling towards some of these players, but to me, it's like this can't be about. I don't know. I just don't know how a football mind can honestly, sincerely, when the cameras are off, the microphones are off, the lights are off, look at each other and say, we're going to see what we got in this guy. And he's going to show us what he can do with these players. I just don't buy that. I'm sorry. Um, they're just putting in a competent quarterback to appease their fans until they can kind of whatever come to the surface. The D line, I think, is going to be better. The defense as a whole, I think if there is a way that this team can get over the 4.5 number, it's because the defense is getting better. It's growing as a unit. I think this is a pretty good defense talent wise. Whether they can put it all together, I don't know. Um, but I don't mind this defense. But offensively, I just don't know who's taking the ball to the end zone. Unless just Malik and it's Achan still, right? If one of those
yeah.
two guys if one of those two guys just run in every touchdown, like I don't know. But I actually don't mind their defense. Where are you at? Oh, just for fun. Plus 50,000 to win the Super Bowl. Plus 15,000 to win the AFC. Plus 15,000 to get the number 1 seed, and plus 3,500 to win the division. Just for fun. Where are you at with the 2026 Miami Dolphins?
I think this roster has been uniquely constructed. And we've all got to remember why this team has been uniquely constructed, because they literally cut a guy that they just could not bring back in this new regime, and they've seen this work elsewhere. Okay, Broncos did not want Russell Wilson anymore. Peyton was done, did not want him anymore, ripped the Band-Aid, took the major cap hit, and guess what? They won football games in spite of that. Dolphins are taking that to heart, and they ripped the Band-Aid and got rid of Tua. And because of said cap hit from getting rid of Tua, they had to construct their team in a fashion where there's a lot of veteran guys on 1-year prove it deals and a lot of young people in all the other places. So yes, when you look at the roster and how it was constructed and you say to yourself, how is this possibly going to be a good thing? And in my
Just
brain, how I'm envisioning it in my
sorry,
brain.
Joe.
Go ahead.
I don't. Sorry to interrupt. Just to quickly, just to add on what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this today. I forgot to write this down, but I saw this today. The dead cap, the dead money that this team has right now. 50 just this year alone. I don't know if it goes beyond. I didn't look into it that deeply, but for this season alone, 55.4 million in Tua's money, 28.2 in Tyreek, 23.2 in Jalen Waddle, 20.9 in Jalen Ramsey, 13 million in Minka Fitzpatrick, 11.4 in Zach Sealer, 11 million Bradley Chubb, 10.7 in Armstead.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that quick math, but that's a ton of money that
exactly.
is dead. Like
Yeah.
it's there, but it's those
Yeah.
players aren't there. So
Yeah.
sorry. Continue your point. I just wanted to add that. That's in
Yeah.
insane to put a football team together with that kind of dead
Yeah.
money.
Exactly. And that just furthers my point. Like they've had to construct their team in this way because of have them ripping the band-aid and wanting to start fresh with this new regime. So they got rid of veteran guys who weren't part of their future plans. Like your Waddles, your Tuas, like you mentioned, Tyreek Hill, they traded Minka. So all of these things take place, and now you have to construct a roster around this situation. So I think they have a unique opportunity here. I think you're going to have the prove it guys are going to want to play well for the simple fact that they don't have a contract beyond the season because they're on 1 year prove it deals. The young guys on this team are going to want to produce well because they don't know any other voices. This is their team that they were drafted to, or this is the team giving them the shot. So they're going to want to play well. Your quarterback is getting his first chance since the stain of what he experienced with the Titans. Um, so I think how unique this team was constructed, I don't think we're looking at a typical 4-13, 6-11 team. I think you're looking at a team that's going to be competitive and are going to fight even if the wins and losses don't match the effort that they're going to give on the field.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that I am hopeful for. I think we're going to talk about the Jets here in a few minutes, and they, um, on paper, the trades they made last year, the draft picks that they have, on paper they are set up to be okay. I don't trust them with any ounce of my body.
Valid.
Miami, on the other hand, um, it's kind of the opposite. Like it's the same and not the same, but it's the same sort of situation where they're gonna have to eat some bad times, but they have some good young players. They have um a talented defense in isolation. Um and they could be building towards something. It's just might like take a while, and I think you're right, gonna be competitive. My big thing is just the weapons that Malik has. I want to be pleasantly surprised because I really did like what I saw from him last year. I
Right.
really did. And I think he deserves the opportunity. I think that this is just a really tricky spot to put him. So with that, 2026 schedule, over under 3.5, minus 140, plus 115. If you're looking at a book that says 4.5, plus 145 for the over, minus 125 for the under. Bye is week 6. So in Las Vegas, in San Francisco, home to the Chiefs, in Minnesota, home to the Bengals. That is a tough 5 pack to start your season. Where are you leaning? In Las Vegas, in San Fran, home to the Chiefs, in Minnesota, home to the Bengals.
Yeah, 1-4 for me. 1-4
Yeah.
for me, and you know what the one is. I don't need to dig into it too much. But I think they'll get off to a great start going to the West Coast and taking on the Raiders, and I think they win that game. After that, I have them 1-4. I just like I said, it's a collection of talent that you don't know if it's gonna work together or not. Um, I think they're going to be competitive in these games. I think they're going to fight like heck, but I don't think that they're going to see the fruits of their efforts in the win loss column. Just unfortunately.
I am exactly the same as you. The Raiders are a team that I really want to believe in. Dealt some tough injury news this week. I don't know, Genty, like what his deal is. Do we know? Uh, this might have been fake news, but I saw that he got carted
He's
off.
so I think for what I know right now, I think they're going to be super careful with him. I did not read into anything. Clint says he's on the mend. That's what he said yesterday. So as far as what the long term health looks like, listen, they're gonna get this extra week here, right in between now and this is effectively a pseudo bye week, if you will, since they eliminated the last preseason game. So he's gonna have time to try to get healthy before the season starts. They haven't made any news on that as far as he's gonna miss some games. But he's got time. So I'm hopeful that he's gonna start game one. They'll probably just put him on ice until then, if anything.
Yeah, and I don't listen. I don't know how much him playing makes a difference, but it's something. But I'm right there with you. 1-4. All right. After the bye, they are in New York to take on the Jets. Home to take on the Pats. Home against the Lions. Week 10, they are in Indianapolis, then in Buffalo, and then home to the Jets. So we'll do that. Cap it. We will bookend it with the Jets games in New York against the Jets, home to the Pats, home to the Lions, in Indianapolis against the Colts, in Buffalo, and then home to the Jets. Where are you at with that 6-game stretch?
Okay. I have them a little frisky here. I got them 3-3 in this stretch, right? And
Okay.
by frisky, I mean they beat the Jets twice and they steal one against the Patriots.
Oh.
Outside of that, 3 straight losses: Lions, Colts, and Bills. I think that's just a tough 3-day. I think that's a tough 4-game stretch, if
Yeah.
you will. But I think that November 1st game, I think they catch the Patriots napping here. I think there's gonna be. I think their early game season has got some bangers in it, and then they get hit with some supposed cupcakes like the Jets and the Dolphins, and I think the Dolphins just steal one here because of the schedule. But you'll see why I have them stealing one here when we get into the Patriots.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I have them 1-5. I have them beating the Jets. I don't know. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I want to believe in um the Colts. I still just don't. That could be a game where I could see them stealing. Like you said though, if I'm gonna hold true to what I think about this defense, there could be opportunities where you're down by 2, 3, 4 points. The fourth quarter, your defense is keeping you in it, and Malik does his thing. Like, you never know. I can see that happening against the Colts. I do have them splitting against the Jets just because I think they're both going to be awful, so they might as well
That's fair.
split. That's
I could
that's
definitely
my
see that.
theory. So you have them 3-3. I have them 1-5. At this stretch, I have them what's that? 2-9,
4-7
and
for
you
me.
have them 4-7. All right, wrapping up the season in Denver, home to the Bears, in Green Bay, home to the Chargers, home to the Bills, week 18 against the Pats. I gave them the win. And much like you teased, you'll see why I gave them the win against the Pats when we get to the Pats next. But I'm kind of jumping the gun here. In Denver, home to Chicago, in Green Bay, in home to San Diego. Wow, Chargers, home to Bills, in New England. What do you got wrapping up the season?
Yeah, I have them 2-4 here. I think they beat the Chargers and I think they beat the Bills here. Like per the previous schedule with the Bills. I just think the Chargers situation as far as their offensive line, who's going to be healthy on that offensive line by this time of year? Because usually they've lost like 2/3 of their line at this stage of the season. And I think it's going to make things incredibly difficult for Justin Herbert if he is under siege. And I think they can steal a couple of games here against talented teams like this, just because. They will have gelled at this point of the season. They've got some continuity at this stage of the season. I just envision that in those 3 games, them winning 2 out of 3 is going to be similar to how the Saints finished last season, where they had some continuity in their team. They feel confident in their quarterback that they have chosen. I think similarly in this situation, I think that the trials of the season at this stage of the season will allow them. Also, what stage are these teams in at this point? Have the Chargers lock the playoff spot by here? Have the Bills locked in a playoff spot by here? Have the Patriots locked in a playoff spot by here? I think a lot of that's going to factor in as to how the Dolphins are going to finish here. But I got them stealing 2 out of 3 at the end, making them 6-11 on my schedule.
I was gonna say 6-11. That makes that over 4.5 pretty sexy for you. Plus 145. I wouldn't want to go over 5.5. I think over 4.5 gives me some margin there. Plus 145. Yeah, I have them going 1-5 here. I just think like it's just hard to know. Like I get what you're saying about the friskiness. I've talked about what I think about the defense potentially. I just think all these teams are going to be playing for something, man. Like the Broncos, the Bears, the Packers, the Chargers, the Bills. Like you said, will they have a playoff spot locked up or whatever? My projection of the Bills is that they won't by then. I have them 11-6, and so they're going to be fighting to the end. And I do have them beating the Pats in that final game. And with that, let's move on. So I have them 3-14 on the season. I do. And so under 3.5 plus 115. Moving on to the New England Patriots. Over unders 9.5, minus 145 on the over, plus 120 for the under. 14-3 last season. Lots of talk about how easy their schedule was, a bunch of cupcake games, all of that. Still a very strong first year for Vrabel, very strong second year for Drake May. Obviously, besides the whole Vrabel, Rossini, or whatever her name is, that whole distraction, the big offseason news is adding A.J. Brown. Last year, both sides of the ball were very, very good. And despite the schedule being weak, this is still a very good team. Playoffs, they weren't, specifically Drake May, they weren't that great during the playoffs. They got to the Super Bowl, but they found a way to squeak out games against 3 of the best defenses in the league. And then they had to play maybe the best defense in the league in the Super Bowl, and the Magic just ran out. Bo Nix getting hurt in the championship game doesn't hurt things. I feel confident in saying that Denver probably wins that game if he's healthy, but you never know. They still went out and found a way to win the game. I'm interested. This Vrabel thing, like this seems like to me, and we haven't talked about the Vrabel stuff, and I don't really like. It is what it is, man. Whatever. I'm not saying it's not a big deal. I think my quick 2 cents. I think what happened. This is my opinion. I think what happened, or what allegedly has happened, is a microcosm of a thing that is actually a like issue. I think that this is not an isolated incident. And so I'm not saying that this situation is nothing. I just don't feel the need to talk about it. I do think that this could pose I think that this could put a lot of people in some hot water if we all knew how much this kind of stuff actually does happen. That's my opinion.
Sure.
I don't know. Tinfoil hat, I don't know, but that's my opinion. Regardless, I don't know that this cannot be a distraction on some level. Like this feels like there has to be now whether the distraction was in the summer and in training camp and now it's behind them, or whether it lingers on throughout the season. I don't know that, but it feels like this has to be something. Um, but that's enough of that. What are your thoughts on the Pats entering the 2026 season?
Yeah, right. So a lot of noise in the off season for coach. So you wonder how that impacts him just mentally with that situation. But obviously this is going to be a harder schedule this year. So there's an expectation that maybe there's a little bit of regression regarding the team. What's AJ Brown's impact going to be? Drake May's development. Can the defense still be elite with who they're going to be coming up against this season? Uh, can New England beat Buffalo head to head? These are all questions that they're going to have to answer to heading into the season. What I will say is, as far as the weapons are concerned, getting an AJ Brown and also a Romeo Doubs is going to be
Oh,
huge for Drake May and his ability to operate the offense, especially since he does like to throw the deep ball. He's going to have opportunities here. They did make a nifty little trade because of those pickups. Wide receiver room was getting pretty crowded. So they did trade Kayshon Boutte to the Texans for Jalen Reed and a pick.
yes.
So that's going to be very interesting just in terms of the depth of the safety room, because they did pick up Kevin Byard from the Bears, who previously played for the Titans, so he has relationship with Vrabel. So he has someone that he trusts back there on the back ends. I think Jalen Reed's a really nice young depth piece, and if you're going to learn from anybody in this league at safety play, Kevin Byard, you could do far worse. I think he's a solid safety to learn from. So really, really good depth piece for the future, for when they eventually move on from Kevin. So I think it's going to be very interesting just to see if they can duplicate or even add to the success that they got this season um, with their new weaponry on offense.
I'm really high on this team. I'll just say that right now. I think the defense, to quickly chime in with the defense, the only question that I have specifically on the edge is did they do enough with the D line? That's the one question that I have. Other than that, I think this defense was very good last year. I think they're going to be very good again this year. Offensively, listen, AJ Brown and Dobbs, like you said, Dobbs is just a prototypical just safety net, and I think that's going to be huge. In preparing for this podcast, I'm listening to other podcasts, and I'm hearing people doubt, like, I don't know if maybe doubt is the right word, but I'm hearing people talk about AJ Brown and the question of whether or not he is washed up, whether or not he still has it, whether or not he can find it again. I know he's had some knee issues, but what I watched last year was not a washed up football player. What I watched last year was a disgruntled diva wide receiver, not the first, may I add.
Not the first for that franchise.
No, not for that franchise. Pretty classic, in my opinion. Pretty classic wide receiver one behavior. That was not a washed up AJ Brown. Like when he was fed the ball, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, like he's still a ball grabber. He still is a vacuum. He's still AJ Brown to me, in my mind. Like what I watched last year was not a washed up football player to me. So I don't know what other people are watching. There are plenty of people who know better than me. There is zero doubt in my mind about him being washed up. I don't think that's even a question. I think adding him to this lineup with this quarterback I just think is nothing but a good thing. And players like AJ Brown, they are very good for 2 or 3 seasons, and then they become upset. And I understand that he's older than he was when he joined the Eagles. I get it. But he will be happy for about 2 years. You got 2 years of happy AJ Brown before before
Before the wheels fall off.
the wheels fall off. Right? That's how it goes
Yeah.
with a lot of these receivers, right? Is they get
Yeah.
to a new place, they're happy for a couple of years, and then they're mad again. Um, I don't obviously like this is football. Anything can go sideways at any given time. The
Right.
running back room, I really hope they use Henderson a lot more. I really liked what I saw from him when they gave him the ball. I hope he gets increased opportunity. And adding Brown and adding Dobbs, I just don't I don't see how this is nothing but a win for this Pats team. I think that's huge. Because what were they were like if there was anything offensively that they were missing, and he's still like Drake May was still MVP caliber, right, during the regular season. As good as Diggs was, it was Stephon Diggs last year, correct?
Yes.
As good as he was at times, that guy is a ghost. A lot of the times, he can be. AJ Brown, I'll take it. I don't. This is not a hot take. I'll take AJ Brown over Stephon Diggs any day of the week. I don't care what phase of their career, prime, early, late. I don't care. I'm taking AJ Brown all day, every day. So to me, that's an upgrade. Adding Dobbs, like you said, I'm massively high on this football team.
Yeah, I agree. I'm ready to lock in on this schedule.
2026 schedule. Again, over unders 9.5, minus 145 for the over, plus 120 for the under. So I'm hearing a lot of talk, like what you said about the schedule being harder, and you're going to be blown away by what I have conjured up here. But we'll get into it. Let's go first 6 games. We'll go first 6 games. Um, Actually, first 5 games, because
Okay.
the bye is week 11. First 5 games in Seattle to open up the season for all of us. Home against the Steelers, in Jacksonville, in Buffalo, home against the Raiders. What do you got? First 5 games in Seattle, home to Pittsburgh, in Jacksonville, in Buffalo, home to the Raiders.
Okay, I do have them 3-2 here. I do
Okay.
have them losing on the road against the Seahawks and the Bills. Listen, first game of the season is usually tough because already you're still kind of figuring out your team, right? You don't have as many preseason games anymore. You have an idea of what they should do, but you also don't know against you give them live reps in real games that matter, which will be this. On top of that, you got, hey, we just won the championship. We beat you to win the championship. And now we get to gloat more about it on on the first Wednesday night of football. Yeah, I think it's just going to be tough to go to the West Coast against the defending champions and win a football game. So I have them losing that game, and then I have them losing on the road in the Bills with the aforementioned split that we talked about earlier. So I have them 3-2 at this stage of the season.
So I do have them. I do have them split with Buffalo. So put the win loss wherever you want. I have them 5-0 here. I think that game against Seattle in my mind. Now we're doing the West next week. So by the time I'm done preparing for the West, maybe I flip on this. I think that's a coin flip game. I have questions. I think a lot of people are just assuming that offense for Seattle is going to be great again, and they obviously are still talented. I have my questions, and we're gonna study it throughout the week. Talk about it next week. I think that's a coin flip game. If I'm gonna give them the win, which I am, um, that feels like a classic We won the Super Bowl. The Patriots feel like they didn't put their best foot forward. We're going to show you guys that we're here for real, win that football game. And then beating the Steelers, Jags, beating the Bills. Like I said, I did split with the Bills and beating the Raiders. I have them 5-0.
Okay.
Next stretch, the bye is week 11. So, home to the Jets, in Chicago, in Miami, home to the Packers, and in Detroit. It is a tough schedule. I'm feeling this Patriots team, man. Where are you at with this stretch here? In New York, or home against the Jets, rather, in Chicago, in Miami, home to the Packers, home to the Lions.
So I have them also 3-2 in this stretch. I do have them losing at the Bears after the Jets game. 4 days, hard to recover. And then you're facing a team that's got, playoff division potential, aspirations. I don't know. I wouldn't say Super Bowl aspirations. It'd be great, but they definitely have aspirations for the postseason. So I think it's going to be tough on that game. That Dolphins game is going to be one of those. What are we doing? What are we doing? and Vrabel is going to give them the business after they lose their game. So I have them 3-2 here, 6-4 overall for the season.
So I think that they could easily be 3-2. I think that Packers and the Lions, those two games are going to give them trouble. I think they can handle those first 3 games. I just really like this defense, and I've said what I said about the Dolphins. I don't know, man. Maybe this is my Eagles. I still love AJ Brown. It was time for him to leave, but I wish him the best. I'm clearly not from Philly because I wish AJ Brown the best. I don't
Yeah.
think I've
I
been
see
an
what you're
Eagles
saying.
fan. I've been an Eagles fan for like over 20 years, but I don't know how long have I been an Eagles fan for? It's been 27 years. I've been an Eagles fan. 27 years. But I'm not from Philly. So
I feel like that's long enough to have of soaked in the if you ain't with us, I hate you, you know? I feel like that's long enough time to have soaked that in, even if you're not actually there.
AJ Brown, like the antics that he had last season were not the Terrell Owens antics. They were different. They were different.
Oh my god!
It
You're
was
not
just
gonna believe what I just thought of. I literally,
What's that?
not to interrupt you, but I literally thought of the interview he gave, and he's doing sit-ups in the outside, and there's cameras on. That immediate image planted in my brain when you said it wasn't T.O. antics, and I was just like, oh, I mean, it's hard to top T.O.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean though. Like it was anyway. I have them. Honestly, man, and again, you could give them the loss to the Packers and the Lions, and put them at 3-2. I'm I don't know. I feel ridiculous now that I'm saying this out loud, but I'm gonna stick to my guns. I have them going 5-0 here again.
Okay.
I think they're gonna be 10-0 by the bye. At worst, they lose the Packers and Lions game, and they're 8-2 heading into the bye. I think that adding AJ Brown and Dobbs, I think is just such to have an already smooth offense and give them those two guys, to me is just it's incredible. I do want to pause for a second here. You have them 6-4. I have them 10-0. At worst 8-2. Our good buddy Jordan, Mark. The Pats were facing bottom feeders last year. so it's barely going to be the over. This is going to be the test for May. I agree with that. And hopefully not the schedule May. Vrabel gonna give him the same. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
I should have proofread that.
That's Jordan for you.
Yeah, that's Jordan. And Jordan has entered the chat, everybody. I listen. They were facing bottom feeders last year, so it's barely going to be the over. This is the thing: is that a team like I feel like football more than any other sport is this like it you're not allowed like to build, right? Like you either win the Super Bowl or you don't. And the fact of the matter is that yes, they play bottom feeders. That is correct. They also played some pretty good pass rushers throughout the year. Some pretty good defenses. As a whole, the teams weren't great, but they played a lot of pretty good defenses. And what you do is, okay, what are our weaknesses? What did we do last year that we didn't do good enough? What were we missing? What do we need this summer to not do that again next year, right? What happened in the playoffs that we couldn't get over the hump? And they were lucky to even be in the Super Bowl. They needed A.J. Brown and Dobbs. Like that, those two additions to me, maybe I'm making too much of a deal of it. Those two additions were them realizing, okay, we did not have that last year. We need that. Let's go out and get that. So I understand what you're saying, Jordan, but I just think that adding those two guys, that defense is already more than legit. You talked about adding Jalen Reed. Like I really like. Anyway, I'm gonna. All right, I said that enough. All right, I'm 10-0. You're 6-4.
Yeah.
Let's just go right to the end here. Coming out of the bye, on the road against the Chargers, in New England against the Bills, in New England against the Vikings, in Kansas City, in New York to face the Jets, in home to Denver, and home to the Dolphins. Where are you at?
I don't have them losing another game after the Dolphins. They are 13-4 for me at the end of the season. And this is why I said,
so you have them.
I have them winning
from week 9 onward. Gotcha.
Yeah. I just feel like that Dolphins game they're going to Vrabel after that Dolphins game is going to look at this team and talk about what are we doing? What are we doing right now? Because he knows that on the other side of that field, they do not have the talent up and down that roster to be beating a team like theirs. And that's going to be the wake-up call that sends them on a mad dash into the postseason, not losing a game from that point forward. That's going to be the turning point of their season for me.
I love the way your mind works. I love so we basically have them ending at the same spot. You just have a much more poetic way of getting there. I have them losing to the Bills because they split. I have them losing to Denver, and I'm following your Dolphins theme, but it's backwards. I have them losing to the Dolphins because they're 14-2. The 1 seed is a wrap.
Okay.
The division's a wrap. Nobody's playing, and they're losing to the Dolphins in Week 18. I have them 14-3. I think that I just, like I said, man, I think so highly of, like, this happens a lot in the NHL with like the cap. Like the cap situation's different now with the cap going up exponentially, but like this chat of we need this kind of player. Okay, well, how are you going to get that everybody wants that kind of player. How are you going to get that player? What assets are you going to get? Whatever. Great GMs find a way. Just get them.
Yeah.
Enough of this rhetoric of, oh, well, if everybody wants a player like that, no, just find a way to go out and get that player. And that's what they did. Two big needs. They went out, they did it. I have them 14-3, way over the 9.5. I don't have the other odd, but I would take an over 11.5 or an over 12.5.
Same. I have them 13 and
I
4, so I
would
would be over 2. I'd be over
love
2.
it, love it. All right, let's wrap up this division. We were talking about Elmo and the Browns for the first 20 minutes, so we're about an hour per division here. We're doing all right. New York Jets. This shouldn't take long. Over 5.5 is the total. -110 either way. 3-14 last year. Added some pieces. Smith, Fitzpatrick, Sweat. Of course, Fitzpatrick and Sweat on the defensive end. Incredible draft by all accounts. Everything that I'm hearing and reading, everyone loves their draft. In trading, um, um, uh, what's his name? Williams and Gardner. Um, they got like 3 first round picks in 2027 draft alone. Their draft cabinet is full. They brought in a bunch of players this year that if things don't go well, which they probably won't, they can trade and get more picks.
Yeah.
This is a team that is set up. They're built to build for the future. This is the this should have happened a long time ago. They're finally kind of biting the bullet fully. Um, Still got talent. Garrett Wilson, Hall, new D line. Um, I Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. I want to just rewind really quickly to the Pats. Sorry, really quickly. I didn't give this out, but I can't give this out for the Dolphins and not give this out for the Pats. Plus 2,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 850 to win the AFC, plus 800 to get the 1 seed, plus 145 to win the division. I don't know about the Super Bowl. I think the Rams are going to be insane. But 850 for the AFC, 800 for the 1 seed, and 145 for the division. I love all three of those. I think that is like 800 for the 1 seed. I love that. All right, back to the Jets. New D line. They've done a good job on the surface of making the roster better while also continuing to tank. I don't really know how that works, but that feels like that's what they've done. Where are you at with the Jets? And like, I don't know. Like the curious thing for me is they have a talented running back room. They still have Garrett Wilson, who's a tremendous receiver still, wasting away in New York. Um, but what I'm interested in is Geno Smith. Last year was so bad.
Bruh.
So bad.
So bad.
Like he shouldn't have even been on a roster.
Yeah.
But here he is, back with the Jets. Now the Raiders were their own mess. This smells a bit like Malik Willis and the Dolphins a little bit. But he was really bad. So what do we make of any of this?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the names, right? You look at the names that you see on the defense, and you say to yourself, they have to at least be slightly better, right? Minka Fitzpatrick is one of those ball hawking safeties that, like, if he sees the ball, he gets the ball type situation, right? But at this stage of his career and where he is playing football now, does he have the motivation, right? Does he have the motivation to be, flying around and doing all the things that he has at this stage of the career with who he's playing for now? You worry about that. But you got guys like Tavondre Sweat on the team now. You got Fitzpatrick, Brandon Stevens. Like you're looking at these names. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Was a decent draft pick for the Titans. Ended up getting over here because they had a need for corners since they traded off They traded off Sauce Gardner. So you say to yourself, can this defense create turnovers? Can the combination of having Will McDonald and Tavondre Sweat on this D line create enough noise on the line of scrimmage so that guys like Fitzpatrick or Stevens and Brownlee can create turnovers? Because even when they had Sauce Gardner, they had one of the worst turnover stats in the history of football, in which they didn't record a single interception on defense. How do you do that? How is that possible? So when you talk about that and you say to yourself, how do you find hope in this team? I think very simply, this is what the season is going to be about as far as the Jets are concerned. Smith coming back to New York, to the place that he was drafted after the many stops that he's had since then. Cool story, right? What's Garrett Wilson's production going to be with him at quarterback? Breece Hall's health. How do we feel about that? Can this rebuilt defense do anything to create turnovers? Because if they can do that, it could be a significant improvement over what we saw last year, in which they were just decimated on a regular basis. Now, all that being said, I don't think they're ready to challenge Buffalo, New England, and they'll be lucky to challenge the Dolphins at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And we'll get to the schedule. Let's just get to the schedule. I don't even know. Like, I'm looking at what I have written down here, and I don't even know if I want to go through this whole thing. I'm curious to see where you're at. Their bye is week 13. Yep. Again, the total is 5.5. They start off the season in Tennessee, home to the Packers, in Detroit, in Chicago, home to the Browns, in New England to start the season. And I'll just cut to the chase. I have them 0-6. I think that Titans game, we don't really know what they're going to be, but I have a lot more faith in the Titans than I do this team. The Browns. Now, the Browns are the Browns. Could they come out of there 2-4, beating the Titans, beating the Browns? Sure, they could. But I still really like the Browns' defense. As always, they have a great defense. I have no idea what this Jets offense is going to be. Really, I should. You know what? I'm going to give them the Browns win. I'm going to give them a win against the Browns.
On the fly, I'm going
to. I'm going to just cut them some slack. 1-5.
Yeah, I have them 1-5. I gave them the Browns win. I said earlier with the Browns schedule that I had no faith in that quarterback room. I think it was gonna be really hard for them to win football games with who they have at quarterback and their offensive line. So it's gonna be a tough season for the Browns. So I think the Jets get that one there. But outside of that, I mean, come on, Packers, Lions, Bears, oh my. Like, there's not a win to be found there outside of the Browns.
Dude, I'm in a couple fantasy leagues, and one of them is a keeper league. Actually, we're an hour and a half through this podcast. This is a keeper league put together by the owners of First Round Collectibles. Promo code SPORTS10, 10% off any sports card in the entire First Round Collectibles store. Promo code SPORTS10. And I'm in 3 hockey leagues, 3 football leagues, and 1 baseball league. And this is the only league that I don't pay for. And it's by far my favorite league. I don't know why, but I love it. Keeper, whatever. I had someone offer me Judkins for a second round pick, and we each get 7 keepers. So a second round pick is like a 4th, 5th round pick, basically. And I want nothing to do with that team. I don't care. Is he going to be good? Yeah, probably. I don't want anything to do with it. All right. Home to the Dolphins, home to the Raiders, in Kansas City, home to the Bills, on the road against the Chargers. What's that? 5. And home, or no, they can't be home to the Dolphins twice. Whatever. I don't know which one's which.
They're on the road to the Dolphins. They're after the
in week 12?
Chargers. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Dolphins, Raiders at home, Chiefs on the road, Bills at home, Chargers on the road, Dolphins on the road. I gave them that first Dolphins win, and they are 1-5 for the rest of that stretch.
Okay, give me a second. You stopped at the Dolphins, right?
That's right. The bye is week 13.
All right, yeah, I got them 1-5 during this stretch here. I gave them the win against the Raiders.
Okay.
Just because, hey, it's your fault my name's tarnished because of my season last year with you. So I'm going to catch this win real quick. But yeah, he's going to be 2-10 at this point in the season.
Yeah, I have them 2-10 as well. I have them splitting with the Dolphins because they're both going to suck. Bye, week 13. In Denver against the Broncos, in Arizona against the Cardinals, and then home to wrap it up, Patriots, Vikings, Bills. I gave them the win against the Cardinals and give them 1-4, giving them a 3-14 season under 5.5.
Yep, did the same thing. Gave him the win against the Cardinals. I don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Could be Carson Beck. Could be Jacoby Brissett. It may be their third quarterback. I don't know. But I know they're going to lose that game. And they're going to be 3-14 on my schedule as well.
Absolutely love it. There it is, the AFC East. Let's take a quick break, and we will be back with the NFC East. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. The NFL show on the Sauter Sports Podcast Network. I'm Mark Sauter. He is Java Joe. Did not say this at the beginning of the show. We'll say it quickly now. This show is brought to you by, like I said, First Round Collectibles. Promo code SPORTS10, 10% off any sports card in the entire First Round Collectibles store. Promo code SPORTS10, 10% off any card. They have ongoing sales all the time. You get 10% off of regular priced items and sales priced items as well. Go to First Round Collectibles. Do yourself a favor. Cards you will not find anywhere else. Incredible store. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Promo code SPORTS10. And Total Apex Sports and Total Apex Media. Let's get going. Starting it off with the Dallas Cowboys. I mentioned this on the last pod. Shout out to the SGPN Sports Gambling Podcast Network. When they do their over-unders, they are also an Eagles fan and a Giants fan, and they make the Cowboys 0-17 every year, which is hilarious when they do this exercise. We won't go that far. 7-9-1 last year. This year, their total is 9.5, plus 105 for the over, minus 125 for the under, plus 2,500 to win the Super Bowl, plus 1,200 to win the NFC, plus 1,500 to get the 1 seed, plus 200 to win the division. Bringing back almost the exact same offense. As much as we hate the Cowboys, have to admit, very talented offense, very good offense. Pickens was actually their best receiver last year, not the best season for Lamb. Still very good. Turpin in his element is a very good receiver as well. The defense was historically awful. Um, they had nine. I wrote this down. 9 games allowing 30 points or more.
Mhm.
0 games allowing less than 20. That defense was brutal. Um, Again, 7-9-1. Parker, new DC from the Eagles, kind of part of the Vic Fangio tree, if you will.
Mhm.
First full season with Williams, they got from the Jets last year. Clark, who they got in the Micah Parsons trade, is a dependable player. It's really hard to be the player coming back of a Micah Parsons deal. He's still a good player.
Valid.
Um, who is their running back? I don't know. I think Taco is a real question mark. Other than that, I hate to admit it, I do like this offense. Um, but the defense, you have to think that full year with Williams, full year with you got to think the defense is just going to naturally get better. It just can't like positive regression, right? Like it has to get better in some way. Where are you at with the Dallas Cowboys as we enter this season?
Man, so the talent overhaul on that defense alone, I feel like is promising. You're gonna have Kobe Durant on one side, Deron Bland on the other side. Deron super nicked up last season, a lot of injuries. But the year before that, he was a ball hawk. He had a stretch like I want to say it was like the first half of the season where he had like 6 picks. It was like insane. The guy couldn't he could find the ball like he was a metal detector. Like it was crazy how good he was on the ball. And now you're bringing in a Caleb Downs into this defense who's going to be playing nickel. It's going to be pretty insane what that secondary is going to be versus what they were last year. Think even if that side of the ball is middle of the pack, you're looking at a team that's going to contend for the East, and maybe steal a playoff game, with having a home playoff game. Offense, I think is going to be pretty interesting. Pickens is on his franchise tag, so obviously it's going to behoove him to want to play well. Didn't really make a whole lot of noise about it. He signed his tag, put in the work in the off season, which is very interesting for a wide receiver. Since we had that dialogue about AJ Brown, and how wide receiver ones usually act like when they think they have money due. So I think I was actually pretty impressed that he handled it like a pro. Signed his franchise tag and just got to work. So he's going to be looking forward to producing this season. I think top to bottom, this is a better roster than last year. Even without Micah Parsons, definitely on the defensive side with what they placed there and what draft capital they placed on that side of the ball, and we'll see how it shakes out at the end.
I agree with you. I do. I think it's a good O line. I think the running back is situation's very interesting to me. And on the edges of that O line as well. But other than that, it's hard to argue with the talent on this offense. Um, and yeah, the defense, like you said, the talent overhaul, absolutely. But they were so bad last year that we're just gonna have to see it. They brought in a new coordinator. And it's gonna be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. Like I said, like just close my eyes. I have no idea who's on that roster. The defense just has to be better than it was last year. It just has to. Like it just has
Yeah,
to. It
agreed.
was so bad. Um, let's get on to the schedule. Um, their bye is week 14. Late bye for the Cowboys. We'll go first 6 here. Um, Starting off the season in New York to take on the Giants. Sunday Night Football, if I remember correctly. Home to the Commanders, home to the Ravens, in Houston, home to the Bucks, and in Green Bay to take on the Packers. So Giants on the road, Commanders, Ravens at home, in Houston, Bucks at home, Packers on the road. Where are you at starting off first 6 games of the season?
Yeah, I have them 3-3 here. I think I think for me, Ravens and Texans are going to be teams that, with their continuity, with Jackson being mobile again. I heard an interview either this morning or yesterday, it might have been this morning, where uh, Jackson kind of intimates that he wasn't as mobile as he wanted to be last season, and that the potential's there that now fully healthy, that you might be seeing him running the football more this season, which I think will obviously can only benefit the Ravens in just the dynamics of their offense. I think they're going to be tough to beat this year with him being a dual threat again. So I have them losing to the Ravens, Texans, and the Packers there. I think Parsons going to do everything humanly possible to be back for that game, and I anticipate him playing in that game, and I anticipate them winning that game with him on the field. So 3-3 for me at this stage.
Yeah, I have them 2-4. I think they win the first 2 games of the year. No disrespect. I think they beat the Giants and the
I have them
Commanders. I
sweeping
think.
the Giants, so
Do
don't
you?
worry about it. Don't even
I love
worry
it.
about it.
Uh, but then I have them losing 4 straight. Now the Bucks game is interesting to me because I'm flip flopping on Tampa Bay a lot. When we did the South, I gave the Bucks the win here, and I didn't feel the need to change it. But that game to me, that could be a game that Dallas wins. I don't think even that's difficult to fathom. But I'm with you. Ravens, Texans. I think they lose. I think they lose against the Packers. So I have them 2-4. They could beat the Bucks as well. But I have them 2-4. All right. 7. Whatever. 7 to the bye. In Philly, home to the Cardinals. In Indianapolis, home to the Niners. Home to the Titans. Home to Philly, and in Seattle to wrap it up before the bye. So in Philly, home to the Cardinals, in Indianapolis, home to the Niners, home to the Titans, home to the Eagles, and in Seattle. Where are you weeks 7 through 13?
I have them 5-2 in this stretch.
Oh,
I
interesting.
think I gave them losses against the Colts and the Titans because the Cowboys are always good for one of those losses that makes absolutely no sense to you on paper. And I think the Titans is that game for me.
You think
Um,
they're going to sweep the Eagles?
I think they're going to sweep the Eagles, to be honest with
Interesting.
you. I don't have
Interesting.
enough faith in the Eagles offense with another new coordinator in there and what I've
Yeah.
seen from Jalen Hurts in recent memory, to believe that they are going to just run away with the East.
Yeah, interesting.
When we get to the Philly, you'll see where they end up. But as far as head to head, I think I think Cowboys are going to be bringing more than they have been, especially on the defensive side. And I think it's going to be an awesome chess match between teacher and student. As far as Fangio versus Christian Parker,
Mm.
um, against their respective teams.
Interesting. Interesting. I have them 3-4 here. I have them splitting against the Eagles. Just like there's just one of those rivalries that no matter how bad the other one is, they just always split. It seems.
That's
So
fair.
I have them splitting. Um, I have them beating the Cardinals. I had it in my mind that they lose to either kind of what you were saying, that they lose to either the Colts or the Titans, and I picked the Colts is where they would lose, and then losing to the Seahawks as well. So I have them 3-4 here, and to the Niners. So yeah, I have them 3-4 here. Putting them at 5-8 heading into the 5-8. Yeah, 5-8 heading into the bye. You're at what? You're at 8-5.
Yeah, 8-5 here at this stage.
All right. Rounding out the season, week 15 to the end, in LA against the Rams, home to the Jags, home to the Giants, in Washington to take on the Commanders. I'll cut to the chase. I have them 2-2 here. I think they beat the Jags, beat the Commanders. I think they split with the Giants and they lose to the Rams.
Okay, I also have them 2-2 here, but I think they're sweeping both the Giants and the Commanders. So I have them winning out to get to 10
and the Eagles. A perfect division. Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, I have them 7-10. And you have them what,
10-7? Yeah, 10-7.
Interesting. So you have over 9.5 plus 105. I have them under minus 125. Interesting. I thought you'd be a bit more down on the Cowboys, but you're there.
It's the talent. The talent on the roster does not justify me crapping all over them like I want to.
I think for me, 7-10 was very respectful of me. I think 7-10 was very, very.
So you could have went under, is what you're saying. You could have went even lower than that. Okay.
Oh yeah, right, big fair. Time. All right, a team that two of my favorite co-hosts, you and Andre, and then of course, isn't Jordan a Giants fan as well?
Jordan is also a long-suffering Giants fan.
Because people ask me, why do I hate the Cowboys when there's other teams in this division? And it's not that I don't. It's like Washington, they're an afterthought almost all the time, so they don't matter. The Giants, I disliked them when we were both like the, Manning years or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there was never that same hatred. Like if we lost to the Giants, it didn't ruin my week like it did when we would lose to the Cowboys. Like it does when we lose to the Cowboys. Giants, 7.5 is the total. 4-13 last year. Harbaugh in Dart, Scatterboo, Neighbors, the three names of note on the offense. My thoughts on the Giants. Now, you're a Giants fan. You're going to go in depth here on how you feel about it. For me, it's very simple. There's 4 things that I'm curious at. Number 1 is I think Harbaugh, I think that's huge, obviously. Typically, he's a very good hirer. He's a very good hirer of the people that he puts around him. And I'm curious to see how that pans out in New York. Number 2, Dart, Scatterboo, Neighbors. Talent-wise, all 3 of those players are players that I would build my franchise around. That leads me to my third point. Actually, it's still my second point. However, health. All 3 of these players, can they stay healthy? Can Dart stay out of the blue tent? Can Scatterboo stay healthy and not do backflips when he's supposed to be recovering? Neighbors is like just, I love watching that kid play football, but he needs to stay healthy as well. It's like the 3 offensive pieces that you are building your offense around for the future, because they're all second-year players. Well, I think Neighbors is third-year player, if I remember correctly, or was he a rookie last year?
This, I believe, is his third.
Right, and he's been hurt kind of all the way through, right? And so it's like, these 3 players are now. I would put Scatterboo at the bottom of those 3. I think it's Dart, I think it's Neighbors, and Scatterboo, I think, is not up there with them. In my personal opinion. Um, but you need those guys to be healthy, and that's super concerning for me. The third thing is, who's your second wide receiver? Like Mooney, you're hoping that he pans out and that he can give you something of what he has shown us in the past. But really, if Neighbors goes down, which unfortunately feels inevitable. I'm not trying to put a curse on anything, but this just feels that way. Who are you throwing the ball to? I think that's a really big question. The fourth thing that I'm looking at is this defense is very talented, and it's set to bounce back. It felt like last season, and you can speak to this better than I can, but it felt like last season we were going into it listing off the names, and it felt like this defense was supposed to be the backbone of this team, and it just never panned out that way. And it feels like this defense is set to bounce back. I'm curious what we see from Carter in year two. Burns another year in that offense. Uh, Edmonds as well. Being brought in. I'm curious. I think this defense can be very good. Which they were not last year. So I'm curious to see how those four things unfold as the season goes on. What's your take? You're the resident Giants fan here. How you feeling? You have them getting swept by the Cowboys, so I'm kind of bracing myself here.
Listen, I think John Harbaugh's going to bring, an entirely different level of coaching experience. Obviously, a lot of what we've had since the Manning years have been a lot of first time inexperienced head coaches. Your Brian Dayball's, your Ben McAdoo's. Um, these guys did not have head coaching experience. Pat Shermer. These are all guys that have offensive minds. They were good in their coordinator positions where they were, and so they parlayed that into a job, with our team, and it just didn't work out, right? So where we are right now is we have a guy who's established. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won playoff games. He's won rivalries within the division. All things that are designs for success, right? You want to win in your division. You want to win tough playoff games, things of that nature. So that alone, in as far as like head coaching situations, better than what we've had since Coughlin. Now that being said, it's going to take some time to establish your culture, right? So do we have everything that we need to do that? I don't think so. I don't think we have everything that we need. I don't think this is a Vrabel to the Patriots situation. I don't think overnight he's just gonna make this a 12-5 football team and we're gonna win the East and maybe win a home playoff game. That's not the type of flip that I'm anticipating. However, I do expect to be competitive. I do expect the defense to be better. I do expect that the culture change will help vibes in the locker room. And I think ultimately where they end up will depend on the year improvement 1 to 2 for Scat, for Dart, and hoping that our offensive line can hold up. Because that's for me has always been the question mark, has been the trenches. And while we've done well on the defensive side of the ball on that line, I don't feel the same about the offensive line. But we'll see what happens when the season kicks in.
So where are you at with um trusting the health of your like main guys? Like, can we see Neighbors for a whole season? Can Dart
Yeah,
stay out of the blue tent
absolutely.
like that?
Like you,
Could,
you,
like,
you preface his injury history like he's only been in the league 2 years. This is going on his third, so we don't really have a longer runway to be able to say, oh, he's an injury risk. He's gonna be an injury risk just on the fact that he
but he
just
was
came back from a major injury, but he played
was
15
he?
in his first season, had
Oh, he did.
103
Okay,
balls
okay.
for a
I
thousand something yards.
I thought he
Yeah,
was banged up for more than that in his first year.
no, that the second year, he had a major injury, and obviously he
Yeah,
missed a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
time because he was out for the year. But the first season, he played 15 games and balled out.
yeah. He
Um,
did.
so as far as that's concerned, really it's the quarterback position that we need to worry about as far as the health's concerned, because he's the guy
Yeah.
that perennially gets himself into that blue medical tent.
Oh yeah.
Now we'll say the time that he
He's
got put in
Baker,
the
man.
tent.
He's Baker. He just
No,
goes
but
in.
the time that he got put in the tent this time was not his fault. It was Tyrone Tracy's fault in missing the block, and that's what got him put into the ground. And now we got Najee Harris because we can't trust Tracy's pass protection. So that was not on him, but he's been sliding in practice. I remember there being a report by, I think it was Jordan Renan. Don't quote me, I'm not sure, but I remember seeing him post, and it was a big deal to me because obviously, if he felt the need to post, that tells me that this might be something that we could look forward to. He put a post on how he watched him slide in practice to avoid a hit, and I'm like, let's go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we need for you to
So
play
funny.
17 games. It's to slide before you get hit. Um, but yeah, as far as the health is concerned, I think he'll learn from year 1 to year 2 how to play differently when he's on the move, but it's really all going to depend on his pass protection, because we already saw in preseason a running back miss a block and then him getting put in the ground. Now, that's not 100% on him, but at the same time, obviously, you want him to feel the rush. You want him to be able to move out of the way when that happens. But it's not, that one was not 100% on him as far as him getting put in the tent. But yeah, it's going to depend on the line and the pass protection by the backs. We need to shore that up.
All right. Schedule. I'm like, I'll save that for the end. Uh, Never mind. Ignore that. All right. 2026 schedule for the New York Giants. Starting off home against the Cowboys. We just went over that. In LA to take on the Rams. Their bye is week 8, so we'll go through till the bye. Home to the Cowboys. On the road against the Rams. Home to the Titans. Home to the Cardinals. In Washington. Home to the Saints. In Houston. Where are you putting your Giants? Up to the bye. Cowboys, road Rams, Titans, Cardinals, road Commanders, Saints, road Texans.
Yeah, I have them 4-3 here. I have them losing the first 2 games to the Cowboys and the Rams. I think those are going to be tough games to start with. New regime, still trying to feel each other out. When you got, the Rams, who are a very cohesive unit and are going to come out like gangbusters with that roster top to bottom. We may or may not have Aaron Donald there. So I think those 2 games are going to be tough for them. I then have them going on a 4-game winning streak from the Titans, Cardinals, Commanders, and Saints, with a loss on the road to the Texans. I think that's just going to be a hard defense to be able to generate some offense. And I think our team is still going to be figuring out what they're doing at that point.
Yeah, I have them 3-4. Only difference, I have them losing to the Saints. But I have them 3-4. Same 3-game winning streak after the Rams game.
Yeah.
Week 9 in Philly. Week 10 home to the Commanders. Week 11 home to the Jags. Week 12 on the road against the Colts. Week 13 home to the Niners.
Listen, we did the AFC South already. So we've gone through that schedule. I'm really high on the teams at the top of that division. I think they're going to be tough to beat, for my team. So I do have them losing to the Colts, losing to the Jags, because I'm just really high on those teams. And I just think, man, us going to Daniel Jones's stand after what we did to him, the malpractice that he did to us, the bad blood there. I think he's gonna come ready to play in that game. So I do end up thinking we're losing those 2. Where are we ending here? I'm sorry.
Niners.
All right, so I have them going 2-3 in that stretch. I have them beating the Commanders and I have them beating the Niners. I just think the health of the Niners wide receiver core is going to be in question at this point in the season. They're already starting off on the wrong foot as far as the health of the wide receivers. Pearsall's out for the year. You're hoping that Debo Samuel has something left in the tank for you. Mike Evans is not getting any younger, and he had his first, like I would say, major injury last season with the Bucks. So you're wondering if at this stage of the year he's gonna, be a little bit nicked up. So I think they steal one here. So 2-3 here, and then that would make them 6-6 at this stage in the season on my schedule.
Yeah, I have them actually 3-2. So I was 3-4. You were 4-3. You're 2-3. I'm 3-2. I'm 6-6 as well. I have them beating the Niners for the same reason you just laid out. I am always leery of that team's health, and at this point in the year,
Valid.
it's hard to know what that team is going to be. I think they sweep the Commanders. I think they lose to the Jags. They beat the Colts. Um, and I think they lose to the Eagles in Philly week 9 coming out of that bye. To finish off the season, Seahawks on the road, Browns at home, Lions on the road, and Cowboys and Eagles on the road in Dallas and at home against the Eagles. So in Seattle, home to the Browns, in Detroit, in Dallas, home to the Eagles to wrap up the season.
Yeah, I have them 2-3. On the to end the season at 8-9 here. I can see a world in which we might split with the Cowboys, putting us at 9-8. I can live in a world that happens, but I just don't have enough faith in this team, top to bottom, for them to soak in everything that Harbaugh wants to do to put them over 500. I do think that they are going to show improvement from last season to this season, obviously finishing at 8-9. But I think this year's more of a kind of like a foundational year for Harbaugh's reign.
I have them 3-2 here, and I have them finishing the season 9-8. I think that they lose to the Seahawks. I think they beat the Browns, lose to the Lions. I have them splitting with the Cowboys, and I it's my opinion that the Eagles. And listen, if you are new to the show, I feel like I'm as objective as I can possibly be. I don't think I'm being quite like a homer by saying this. Like the Eagles they're favored to win the division, so I'm not being too overboard. I think the division's wrapped up by week 18, and I am giving the Giants that win. I think if that game matters, then maybe it's a different story. But
I gave them the win for that same reason.
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
listen, man, at 9-8, I think the NFC is a very, very good conference. So 9-8 probably doesn't get you in, but it might. You never know. Weirder things have happened. So I am giving them, 3-2 that stretch, and they are 9-8, going over the 7.5 minus 102. Where did you land? 8-9.
8-9. Yeah.
Love it. Look at you. See, it's all turning around. It's all turning around in New York. All right.
A lot more wins than last year.
Philadelphia Eagles over 10.5 is the total, plus 120 for the over, minus 145 for the under, plus 1,800 to win the Super Bowl, plus 900 to win the NFC, plus 850 for the 1 seed, plus 125 to win the division. I'm just going to say this. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Go look it up. The disparity between the Rams and then the Seahawks and then everybody else is fascinating to me. Like, I'm pretty sure the Rams to win the NFC is like plus 350 or something like that. Like, it's like and the Eagles, if memory serves correct, you have it in front of you. If memory serves correct, the Eagles are the third shortest odds. and they're plus 900. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy the disparity between the Rams and everybody else. All right, 11-6 last year. You mentioned it earlier. New OC in Marion. Um, there, I, I've, I, I have been. I don't love the fact that this is his like 100th new coordinator since like his freshman year of
Mm-hmm.
college. Like, that really it bothered me. I think now I'm kind of like, okay, what they did with this roster. So, um, AJ Brown's out. You have Smith. You have Wicks. You have Hollywood Brown, Lemon, and Stowers. Um, two rookies. It's clear to me, and then you have Goddard as well. Um, it's clear to me that with the additions that they brought in addition to Devontae Smith, that they are telling Hurts, you have to throw to the middle of the field. They're bringing in slot receivers to get open in the middle of the field, and it feels like they are. You had two receivers in AJ Brown and Devontae Smith where they could get open in the middle. They love the outside, and it just feels like what we saw last year. They are reshaping their offense to now say, okay, you need to be riskier down the middle of the field. You need to be. He and I'll kind of get to that. So, yes, yet another new OC is concerning, but I do think that they are constructing this offense to help Hurts. Not just say, hey, Hurts, you have to do this, but hey, here are the pieces that we think will help you do what we think you need to do. I'm interested to see how that goes. Offensive line, um, you still have Jordan Mailata, you still have Lane Johnson, you still have Dickerson, you still have Jerkins. Johnson has basically come out and said, this is my last year. More than likely, this is my last year. He is still, in my opinion, a top three like O lineman in the league when he's healthy. He's still elite, in my opinion. Dickerson is very good as well. He needs to stay healthy. Cam Jurgens is a fine center. That O line is still elite. Is it as elite as it was with Jason Kelsey? Of course not. But it is still, I don't know, top five, top three, top five O line in the league, I think. Um, it's great when healthy. But if one piece of that goes out, it gets wonky in a hurry.
Yeah.
I think I think Barkley didn't have an awful year last year, but the inconsistency with the O line made it very hard to get any sort of running game going throughout the year.
I
I
agree.
also think that the experiment with that OC was just a disaster, and I'm very curious to see how it works out here with the new OC to get him going. The biggest thing with this offense is, can Jalen Hurts adapt? He has done a very, very good job over the last few seasons at not turning the football over. He's had moments where he's turned it over, but for the most part, he has done a very good job at not turning the football over. And the biggest reason for that, in my opinion, in my eyes, is he's just not risky at all. He throws the ball away a ton, which is what you want to do to an extent. He runs out of bounds a lot rather than trying to get the extra 2-3 yards, right? Um, he doesn't throw down the middle of the field like I just kind of spoke to because he doesn't want to pick. He's so protective of the football that he's lost that get after it factor that made him so good in the 2 seasons that he went to the Super Bowl. Um, so for me, I want I want Jalen Hurts to be riskier with the football. As weird as that sounds, like take some shots, man. Take some risks, take some opportunity. The great thing about this Eagles team over the years is they are talented enough to win football games by default. It's okay to be risky with the football from time to time. You don't have to be perfect at all times, and he needs to get that out of his head. Like I said, the receivers that they brought in, I think, are for that purpose to get him to throw down the middle of the field more. Um, on defense, there's not really much to add. This defense is still stacked. They lost Blankenship, but they still have Mitchell. They still have DeJean. Um, I, I, the pass rush is unbelievable. Um, they kind of reloaded their back seven. It's a lot younger. What's interesting about this is the Eagles and Howie Roseman, they're notorious for building their defense from the line up. And they did a great job at reloading the backfield with younger talent. So I I'm I'm high on this. I think what's interesting to me, this is kind of a um trying to think on the fly what you would compare this to. This like Jalen Hurts wins football games, even when it's ugly, even when it they are quite frankly bad. They still win football games and they get to the playoffs. And the way they get to the playoffs is not always conducive for winning in the playoffs, but they get there somehow. This is the most important fact. Stat packed fact, Joe. Went to the Super Bowl, toe to toe with the Chiefs, lost. Next season, lost in the wild card round. Next season, won the Super Bowl. Next season, lost in the wild card round. Clearly, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. That's just math, right? That's just basic, simple math.
I mean,
Super Bowl, losing wild card. Super Bowl, losing wild card. If I can follow the pattern, that equals Super Bowl. But all that aside, I have no problem in believing in Jalen Hurts. He's shown what he can do. Um, but he's got to actually do it. And I don't know if it's stubbornness. I don't know if it's whatever it is. But he has to adapt and change his style. And I think they've given him the pieces to do so.
yeah, I mean, listen, the top to bottom, this is still one of the strong overall rosters in the league, right? Particularly defensively. To add to what you said about the defense, I mean, Howie Roseman's a master move maker, and he picks up former cornerback from the Seahawks, Reek Woolen, to man the left side, and then trades for Jonathan Grenard, who's a dynamite sack artist, and you're going to pair him with Jalen Carter. That's going to be a monster pass rush that you're going to have to deal with now. This team has had a tendency to win ugly and win pretty and win in every single way you can imagine winning a football game. They've learned to do. So they're not adverse to winning a game 12-11, but they could just as easily win a game 31-7. So that's going to make them a tighter team, winning the close ones, winning the big ones. I think that we're looking at a season that is going to be what's going to happen with Jalen Hurts with new number one, as far as Devontae Smith being the number one option now. But what's also going to be interesting is Saquon Barkley's workload. The depth behind them is not fantastic.
Agreed.
Respect to Tank Bigsby and Will Shipley, but I mean, these aren't guys that you think will be able to start in the event that he gets hurt, and the offense is going to still click in any way, shape, or form. I felt a little bit better about Kenneth Gainwell just because I've seen him. I've trusted his work. Saquon Barkley's been outspoken about him. It's like, yo, he could be a number one in this league. He could be a number one in this league. That could be team speak, building up his homie, but I have more trust in him than I do with the current running backs they have behind Saquon. So I'm going to be very interested to see how they manage his workload, because you want him to be fresh later in the season, because that's when really you want to be at your most balance.
I agree with that. I do. If the event that Saquon goes down, I like the tandem of Bigsby and Shipley together. I don't think there will be one or the other. I think it'll
Mm.
be a dual, not threat, but like both of them together. So I'm interested to see which one they use to be the second back. Because I do think that Bigsby kind of has the pedigree, maybe, but Shipley's shown some spurts throughout the last couple seasons. But I am with you, and I understand what you are saying. Going on to the schedule. Again, 11-6 last year. 5.5 is the total this year. Plus 120 for the over. Minus 145 for the under. Um, Bye is in week 10. Let's go 5 weeks here. Home to Commanders, in Tennessee, in Chicago. Home to the Rams. Home to the Jags. First 5 weeks. Commanders, road Titans, road Bears, Rams, and Jags.
Yeah, I have them 3-2 at this stage here. I think they're gonna win the first 3 games of the season,
Yep.
and
Yep.
everyone's gonna feel great about it, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we've been worried for no reason." And then they're gonna face the Rams and then the Jaguars, two playoff teams from last year, and then they're gonna be at 3-2, wondering what this offense is doing at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I have them losing to the Rams. I have them going 4-1. I think they beat the Jags there. But I have them going 4-1, losing to the Rams as well. It's so funny, dude. We're doing the Rams next week. The Rams are winning all these games that we're doing on the schedule. Like, are the Rams going to go 16-0? Like, we're going to
We're
look
gonna
at
get to
that.
their games and it's gonna be 15-2 because of what we said
Seriously.
the last 3
Seriously.
weeks.
Dude, seriously. Um, that Rams Jags, those two games are the first half of a 4-game homestand. Week 6 and 7, Panthers and Cowboys. Week 8 in Washington. Week 9, home to the Giants. So that is 4 out of 5 games at home. Panthers, Cowboys at home in Washington, home to the Giants. What do you have in this stretch?
I have them 2-2. Believe it or not, I have them losing all 4 of those home games.
Wow.
Because I want Philly really, really super panicking at this point. So I have them losing all 4 of those road games, or all 4 of those home games, having them super pissed. But then they come back and win against the Commanders and Giants, putting them at 5-4 in my schedule at this stage.
That's hilarious. I have them 4-0. I do have them splitting with the Cowboys, as I alluded to earlier. I have them sweeping the Commanders. And I think they beat the Panthers as well. So I have them 4-0. So where are you at right now at the bye?
Five and
I'm eight,
four.
I'm 8-1. You're 5-4. It's
Yeah.
making me look bad. All right, let's go week 11 to week 14. Or just all the way through. Whatever. Yeah, okay. Week 11 to the end.
Okay.
In or home to Pittsburgh, in Dallas, in Arizona, home to the Colts, home to the Seahawks, home to the Texans, in San Fran, and in New York to take on the Giants. Steelers, road Cowboys, road Cardinals, Colts, Seahawks, Texans, road Niners, road Giants.
All right. So I have them 6-2, finishing the season at 11-6. I think at this point, at the bye week, Nick Sirianni is going to get in the lab and he's going to figure out within the first 9 games how this team best wins football. And he's going to use this bye week to go ahead and lock in on the game plans on both offense, defense, moving forward. And that's going to lead them to a 6-2 record down the road. I have them losing at the Cowboys. and I have them losing at the Giants. But I have them winning all the other games, even the Seahawks, Texans. Listen, that Seahawks game, if there's anything that, well, I mean, any quarterback really, but if there's anything that rattles Sam Darnold more, it's seeing people in his face. And when Jonathan Grenard and Jalen Carter are coming downfield on him, it's going to be a tough night at the office for the Seahawks that game. But I feel really strongly about just this team in the sense of understanding, like how Kansas City operates, where like at some point during the season, Andy Reid figures out, okay, this is what I have in my team. This is how we need to win games moving forward. And then they take that second half and run with that. I think Sirianni does this at the bye week. It starts with the Steelers game, and they rattle off 6 out of 8 to win the East.
At 11-6, you said 11-6.
11-6.
So I have a couple thoughts on this. Now you just literally laid out the exact same that I had. I had them 6-2 as well. I had them losing to the Cowboys and losing to the Giants. What I'm curious of is that over the last 4 seasons, we have seen an Eagles team that either is at the peak of their powers this time of year, or they are winning based on talent and don't have an identity. It's literally been one or the other for the last 4 years. And so there's a world where they do what we both said they would do and go 6-2. And if that is the case, I have them 14-3. However, that Seahawks game, that Texans game, that Niners game, those 3 defenses are going to be tough. Now, I think the Eagles' offense is going to be better than the Texans. The Niners, I have a feeling they're going to be a shell of themselves by the time the end of the season rolls around. So they can still kind of pull off those games. But there's a world where that 14-3 is very easily 12-5 or 11-6. Either way, I think they win the division. I will take the over of the 10.5. I do have them going 14-3, but I'm very cautious of the tale of 2 Eagles.
Yeah,
like this could be, this could be the peak of your powers, or you have no idea who you are and you're winning because you have good players. All right, moving on, wrapping up this division. Washington Commanders. The Washington Football Commanders, 5-12 last year. 7.5 is the total. Plus 105 for the over. Minus 125 for the under. My notes here are literally, you might be more dialed in on this than I am. This is the shortest notes out of all of the teams that we have done. McLaren, then who? Daniels and Quinn, year 3. I'm curious to see how this goes. Obviously, Daniels' health is going to be interesting. Adding Rachaad White to the backfield, I find that very interesting. I like that move. The front 7 of their defense is much improved. A lot of change, though. A lot of change. And the edge has improved as well. Overall, I think this defense is better than it was last year. I like Rachaad White. I like Daniels in theory, but I don't really know who he's throwing to other than McLaurin. I know, what's his name? Ayuk. This is a rumor. I don't even know what is going on with that guy right now. He's still on Instagram for all I know, or TikTok or whatever it was. But yeah, I don't. As much as I like Rachaad White, I don't really know what this offense is going to be. And in my opinion, this is my opinion, I think it's important for Daniels to. Is it Daniels or Daniel? Am I butchering that?
Daniels.
It is Daniels.
Yeah, with an S.
I think it's important for him to play 17 games and just stay healthy. I don't think that this season, this team's not winning a Super Bowl. Maybe they make the playoff. I don't know. I just think that he needs to stay healthy, stay upright, improve. This is not a let's get back to the conference championship like we did, you know, 2 seasons ago. To me, it's just improve, stay healthy, and keep building for whatever's next. Because this is not a roster worth risking everything for, with all due respect. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean they overhauled their defense, I'll say, and then now they're also coming in with 2 new coordinators. So it's like Jaden Daniels' health first and foremost at the top of the list, but also his transition to the new offense. How does he take to that? Right. He had a lot of noise in the offseason over a jersey number. Crazy, but it
Yeah.
got really, really noisy. My favorite FYP look is what number 5 thing are we boycotting in the name of Jaden Daniels? That became my favorite FYP search on my
Yeah.
socials. So I gotta tell you, he gave me an amazing month of random things we're boycotting in the name of Jaden Daniels, number 5. So thanks, shout out to him for that. Listen, Terry McLaurin's needs to come back to form. Okay. I don't think you can depend on Stephon Diggs at this stage of his career to carry your wide receiver core. I mean, he's simply in here on another prove it deal. But also to have someone outside of him to throw to so that maybe he's not double teamed every single snap. So we want him to come to form. How much the Sonny Styles help this defense? Super important because he's part of the overhaul of this entire defense. So we want to see what happens there. Me personally, I'm with you that top to bottom, this roster is not prepared to compete the NFC East. My schedules before this are proof in the pudding as to how I feel about it. However, a healthy Daniels and a good transition to this new offense could alter a couple of games here and there.
Yeah. I yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think the disparity between last year and the year before, it was so massive that it's hard for me to really put a finger on what this team's going to be. Um I am amazed at what I came up with here. And I think that this is disrespectful on my part, but this is how I see it. And we'll
Oh,
see what
great.
happens.
Oh my God, they're 4-13 on your schedule. Maybe 3-14.
Dude. Honestly, I just went through it and then I looked up and I was like, "Oh my god."
You're sitting there
Um
just, I can't find the wins. I just
dude,
can't find.
the total is 7.5. Remember that.
Yeah.
Plus 105.
Yeah.
All right. Bye is week 7.
Heard.
Eagles, Cowboys, both on the road. Seahawks, Colts, Giants at home. Niners on the road. First 6 games. What do you got?
All right. I have them 2-4 at this stage. I do believe that they pick up wins at the Niners and against the Colts. But I have them losing all 3 divisional games and the Seahawks game.
I have them 0-6.
I could see a world where that's a thing. I can
Coming
see a world
out-
that's a thing. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I wish this was the Cowboys schedule, but it's not. It's the Commanders. Coming out of the bye, Eagles, Rams at home, on the road against the Giants, at home against the Bengals. We'll end there. 4 games.
Okay.
Eagles, Rams at home, Giants on the road, Bengals at home. What do you got?
I have them losing all 4 games.
So do I.
I have them losing all 4 games. I think if I'm gonna give them a game, the Giants game can go either way depending on what's the status of my top 3.
Yep.
within Scat, Neighbors, and Dart.
Yep.
But I think top to bottom, roster wise, all 4 of those teams are just better.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 12 to the end. On the road, Cardinals and Titans. Home, Texans, Falcons. On the road, Vikings, Jags. Home to the Cowboys. Cardinals, Titans on the road. Texans, Falcons at home. Vikings, Jags on the road. Cowboys at home. What do you got?
I have them 3 and 4 here. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be of that Vikings game at on December 27th. I do believe that while they've been able to stay relevant with KOC as the coach, even in seasons where quarterback's an issue, I think on this particular season, he's going to find it hard to generate wins just because of what they lost on defense in Jonathan Grenard. And I just think the quarterback play is going to be so erratic between McCarthy and Murray that I just don't think they're going to have a great season, which I've already, we already discussed the North. Cardinals and Titans. Titans, I just think they're still in rebuilding mode. So that's a game they can get there.
Yep.
And then the Cardinals, I don't know who their quarterback's going to be here. Could be Carson Beck at this stage of the season. With Brissett on a 1-year prove it to me deal. That could easily be Carson Beck starting that game.
Yeah, I have Cardinals. They win the Cardinals game. I have them beating the Falcons as well. I think they can beat the Titans, kind of how you laid it out. I have it 2 and 5. Could be 3 and 4. Their first win of the season in my books is week 12 against the Cardinals, and I think they go 2 and 15.
Oh my!
I know.
Wow.
I know. It doesn't feel right. As down as I am on this team, that doesn't feel right. But when I look at the schedule, that's just where my mind goes. 2 and 15. It can't be that bad, but
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
That's a tough schedule. That's a tough schedule.
Yeah.
And that game against the Niners where you gave them the win, I'm curious to see where you have the Niners because you're giving them a lot of losses so far. I'm curious to see where you have them next week. But that's the healthy part of the Niners schedule, right? That's a tough Eagles, Cowboys, Seahawks, Niners, 4 of their first 6 games.
Right after
and then
the
Eagles, Rams, Bengals are 3 of the next 4, right? And then in there is 2 Giants games, and I think the Giants sweep them. Like, that's a tough opening stretch, man, for a team that doesn't really have a true identity. But, hey, look at us, man. We did it.
We did it. We did it.
Is the longest podcast that we have ever done. And thank you so much to everybody who has stuck with us. Nobody left. We appreciate all you so much. Listening on Spotify, we appreciate you. We will be back next week. Wrapping up the previews, the division previews with the AFC and NFC West.
Want to do a quick shout out before you close this out. Want to shout out the Queen Creek Bulldogs football team. My best friend's son is on the JV squad. Had their first game today in honor of her 49ers fandom, in which we will dissect the Niners next week. Just wanted to shout them out for the pod and wish them luck tonight. But yeah, man, I'm ready to wrap this up next week. Football's upon us, man.
Oh, I love it, dude. I love it. And then the week of, we got to figure out. We got to sit down and figure out because I still want to we're going to do props. We're going to rehash quickly the over-unders. And we got to prepare for some games too, man. We're going to start betting games. I can't wait. So all of that coming up before the season. As we get out of here, remind everybody, promo code SPORTS10, firstroundcollectibles.com, promo code SPORTS10 for 10% off your order. Total Apex Sports and Total Apex Media. We will see you all next week. Until then, have a great week. We will see you next time.